Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever thought about solving equations when it comes to algebra? But what if there is a variable on each side? Usually, when you solve an equation, you're dealing with one variable. But what if there is two variables? How do you deal with that? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you multiple examples of what to do when there's a variable on each side. So let's get started. Let's take a look. So the first problem we have is negative 2 plus 10p equals 8p minus 1. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write that problem down. And as you know, as I always say in all of the videos, make sure that you write the problem down. You cannot learn or figure out a problem through osmosis or just by looking at it. You have to connect with the problem in order to help you solve it. So in this case, we have two variables, 10p, 8p. What is a variable? A variable is usually a symbol that represents a value that mostly you're trying to solve. So in this case, we have p. We're trying to find out what p is. But usually there's one variable in an equation, but now we have two. So what do you usually do when there's two variables? What you try to do is you try to combine the two, especially if they're the same. There's a p on this side, there's a p on that side. So the first thing that you want to do when solving these type of equations is to combine like terms in hopes of the variable being combined where you just have one. So in this case, we have 10p here, we have 8p here. So remember, whatever you do on one side, you have to do to the other side in order to make sure that the equation stays the same. So let's try and combine like terms in this situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 8p on both sides, and you'll see why in a minute. So if I minus 8p on both sides, on the left side, that gives me negative 2. 10 minus 8 is 2. So we have 10p minus 8p is 2p. So we have plus 2p equals 8p minus 8p is 0. So we're left with negative 1 on the right side. So why did I do a minus 8p on both sides? Why didn't I do minus 10p on both sides? Well, had I done a minus 10p on both sides, we would have ended up with a negative p. 8p minus 10p would have been negative 2p. We want to make sure that that variable is positive when we solve it. So what we have left is negative 2 plus 2p equals negative 1. So remember, I'm trying to solve for p, so I want to get everything away from p and all by itself, because remember, we're trying to say p equals. That's what we want our equation to look like. So I'm going to add 2 on both sides because we have a negative 2. So on the left side, we're left with 2p because negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So we're left with 2p equals 1 minus 2, or technically 2 minus 1, which is just 1. So this 2 is multiplied by p. So in previous lessons, I've taught you in order for you to get rid of something that's connected to the variable, you have to do the opposite. So this is 2 times p. In order for us to get rid of that 2, we need to divide by 2. So we're going to say 2p divided by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so those cancel out. So now your answer is p equals 1/2. So that's your answer, p equals 1/2. And then you can go back in here to check your answer. So if we were to go back to our problem, negative 2 plus 10p equals 8p minus 1. And you always want to do this in order to go back and check your problems to make sure that what you did was correct. So if I plug in p here, we'd have 10 times 1 over 2 equals 8 times 1 over 2 minus 1. So here we have negative 2. This is 10 times 1 is 10 divided by 2, which is 10 divided by 2 is 5. So negative 2 plus 5 equals 8 times 1 divided by 2, which is 8 over 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, minus 1. So we have negative 2 plus 5 equals 4 minus 1. So negative 2 plus 5, or 5 minus 2, gives us 3. And then 4 minus 1 gives us 3. So that's how you know that this is correct. So you perform this problem the correct way. All right, so let's try another problem. Now, sometimes when you're dealing with these variables, you don't always get a perfect solution. Sometimes there's no solution. Sometimes the solution is all solutions, meaning you place all numbers in here and whatever you put in for your variable is going to be your answer. And I'll show you that in a second. So we just completed the first problem, which we solved for p, which gave us 1/2. And now let's take a look at some other problems that have a variable on each side, but you may get a different answer. So our next problem is 2m plus 5 equals 5 parentheses m minus 7 minus 3m. So we have to do a little bit of work here. We need to distribute to make sure we know what we're looking at. So we have 2m plus 5 equals 5 times m, which is 5m. And when we distribute, we have 5 times a negative 7, which is minus 35. And then we have minus 3m. So now we have 3 variables that we're looking at, a 2m, a 5m, and a 3m. So like I told you, you want to try and combine like terms so that you're down to one variable. So what I could do here is we have 2m plus 5 on this side. Then we have a 5m minus a 3m. So those are like terms. They have a number and the variable m attached to them. So 5m minus 3m would be 2m. 2m, and then we have left minus 35. All right. So now, like I said, we want to combine like terms. So I'm going to minus 2m on both sides. So here we have 2m minus 2m, which is 0. So here we have 5 left. Then we have 2m minus 2m, which is 0, and negative 35. So we came out with 5 equals negative 35. 5 does not equal negative 35. So what is going on with this problem here? Whenever you see this, wherever two sides do not equal each other, once you've gotten rid of the variable or brought it down to one variable, this is telling you that there is no solution to this problem. There is no solution. So this problem cannot be solved. Make sense? Okay, so let's move on to the next problem. So sometimes there will be situations where when you combine like terms to get down to one variable, you may end up getting rid of the variable, and you may have two numbers that are set equal to each other that are not equal, which means that there is no solution. So we've had one problem where we've solved for p and we've received an answer, which was 1/2. Our second problem, we combined like terms for m, and we saw that there were two numbers set equal to each other that were not equal, which meant that this problem had no solution. So now let's take a look at our third and final problem, and we'll go from there. So now we have 3 parentheses r plus 1 minus 5 equals 3r minus 2. First thing you want to do in this situation is you're dealing with parentheses. You want to go ahead and distribute out your numbers to see what you're looking at. So we have 3 times r, which is 3r. And then we're going to distribute the 3 and the 1. 3 times a positive 1 is a plus 3. So 3 times r plus 1 is the same as 3r plus 3. Then we have minus 5 equals 3r minus 2, right? So now let's combine like terms on both sides. So we have a plus 3 and a minus 5. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So we have 3r minus 2 equals 3r minus 2. Oh, so now we have an equation where the left side and the right side equal each other, but you can't solve for the variable. So what does this mean if you end up with something like this? 3r minus 2 equals 3r minus 2. That works, that's correct. But if I were to minus 3r on both sides, the variable would go away. In this type of instance, this is telling you that all solutions work, which means if you were to put any number into r on both sides, they're going to equal each other. It's no different than saying y equals y or r equals r. 3r minus 2 equals 3r minus 2. If I put a 3 in on this side and a 3 in on that side, 3 equals 3. If I do 4 and 4, 4 equals 4. If I do 5 and 5, 5 equals 5. So whenever you see a problem like this, this means all solutions work. So I've shown you a problem where you solve for a variable when there's both variables on both sides, two variables, at least two variables on both sides, and you get it down to one. I've shown you a problem where there's no solution, and I've shown you a problem where there's all solutions. So I hope this helps. If this helps you, please be sure to pass it along to someone else, send it to someone else. Please like and share, and we'll see you in the next video.